So my name is Carlos Walker, and this is Forward Progress. Today we got Mr. Derek Warner with us. How you doing, bruh?
Pretty good, brother. How are you?
Man, life is perfect, man. Look, hey, you already know we still here.
Absolutely.
And look, that's the biggest part of it all.
That's right, brother. Still here and making a difference.
Man, there you go. So
Yeah,
before we
sir.
start, if you will, share a little bit about who you are and what you do.
All right. So my name is Derek Warner, and I am the CEO founder of React Corporation, which is a nonprofit 501c3 that actually is for the purpose of reentry and prison prevention. But we're not limited to that. Our mission is to just try to be a support system and a helping hand to all those that are in need, whether that's the elderly, whether that's the youth, or whether that's just, your common everyday working person that just needs support. I think it's very vital that not only as organizations, but as individuals, we start getting more involved in the community, being a support system for whoever may need assistance. Because look, if all of us are a bridge to help somebody cross over from a stressful situation into a peaceful one, then we have just made one more situation better on the planet Earth. And I think that's all of our purpose, to be honest with you. So, yes,
All
sir.
right. So if you will, share a little bit about you did time, correct?
Yes, I did right at 26 and a half years in prison for murder and armed robbery.
All right, so now we're gonna get into what Forward Progress is about. Forward Progress does share a little bit about who you were prior to. Then it goes into the prison sentence, the prison time, but what you do and who you are now. Because I like to
Absolutely.
show the the caterpillar, but also the butterfly and even the cocoon part. So, if you will, share a little bit about who you were before you was in prison. You could start at your childhood, or and gradually move forward, and then we'll get into all the rest of it eventually.
Okay. So basically, I was just like any other kid, young, trying to find my way. Raised in a household where the struggles were real. Financially, um, dysfunction was prevalent. Um, had a mom that was in a marriage, but she still basically carried that household by herself,
Mm.
going to school, working, and trying to raise two kids. And I often say three because my stepfather himself carried himself like he was a kid. So she was, she just had a lot going on. And, trying to maintain a household, you just don't have time to put your energy into every single, it's just impossible. So because of that, influences pulled at, me particularly, and I ended up in the streets, trying to find love.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead. Mhm.
you no, go ahead, go ahead. You can
Now I
go
was just
back
going
in.
to say, unfortunately, that love was misguided love around a bunch of guys like myself, just trying to find their way in life without a mature mind to assist in that process.
Kind of like blind leading the blind. Everybody's looking for love, but nobody truly knows how to give it, and nobody's, I guess, old enough at the time to guide it.
Absolutely.
So, how old were you when you started? I guess you could say venturing outside the house, looking for looking for the guidance that you were looking for.
I'm gonna say around age 16.
Okay, so prior to that, how was life, other than you just not getting receiving the things that you felt at the time you needed?
It was unpeaceful. My stepfather was abusive to my mom. I didn't like it. My mom was trying her best to be a wife to somebody that couldn't receive that. And sometimes that meant putting her kids to the side a little,
Mm,
because you were dealing with somebody that had an addiction to alcohol. He was an alcoholic.
okay.
And for the most part, showed more love to the alcohol than he did to his wife. And women are emotional.
Hmm.
So when you're not in a position to give them the attention that they need and make them feel whole and complete, they're kind of trying to figure out why. What are they doing wrong? So they'll overcompensate to try to correct whatever they feel like is an error that they're making, or realizing that it's not them that has the problem, it's the person with the problem that has the problem.
And
And
that led to a problem
yeah,
because the kids wasn't receiving the
yeah,
full capacity of love that you should have been getting.
yeah.
So, out at the age of 16, share a little bit about what life was like when you start venturing out, what you gotten into, those type of things.
Well, to be honest with you, bro, I met a group of people who we would consider to be hustlers.
Mm.
And when I started hustling and making money, I began to get the attention that I wasn't really getting when I was in that household, you know. And when you got money, people gonna flock to you just simply because you have money. And at that time, I wasn't concerned that I was being used. I was more concerned with how I felt
Mm.
receiving that love, which the love was superficial. Of course, we know that, but it still felt good at that time. It wasn't
Yeah.
about longevity; it was about a temporary fix, and the lifestyle became addictive.
So, from the age of I'm gonna say 16 to what before you like I guess first got in trouble or start to getting in trouble.
Hey, I was getting in trouble here and there, on and off, even at that young age, fighting or whatever. But as a hustler, man, right around 17, I caught my first cell case. I caught an eluding police charge, and then I caught another case, possession with the intent to distribute. And once I got out on bond on that, not even 3 months later, I was locked back up for murder and armed robbery.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
was this at the age of 17, 18, or
I was 18 when I caught the murder and armed robbery charge.
okay. So
Mm-hmm.
here we go. We're gonna transition a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The when you got in trouble and you got your time, emotionally, psychologically, what did it feel like? If you can remember. Because they done gave you how much time did they actually give you?
2 life sentences.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. At the age of 18,
Mm-hmm.
18, 19, I'm assuming, because it would take a little while for them to go through trial.
Mm-hmm.
18, 19, what does it feel like to get 2 life sentences? And you in what state?
Georgia.
In Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me.
Confused.
Mm.
I was confused. Honestly, acceptance was there. Like I knew I had did something wrong, and I knew there would be a consequence for that wrong. But the amount of time that I was given to see the reaction that my mom had when I was given that time, and to try to comprehend in my mind what that looks like. Oh, it was a bunch of confusion. Then I was sent to Alto State Prison, what at that time was considered gladiator school. So everybody fighting to try to maintain a sense of dignity and pride. So yeah, it was a bunch of confusion. Some way though, I managed to meet people that showed me how to find myself in the midst of the confusion. And it's weird. When the earth is beautiful and the sun is shining, people tend to take life for granted.
Mm. Come on now, say it again one more time.
Yeah, people tend to take life for granted.
No, I'm saying you said when the earth is beautiful,
Oh yeah, when the earth is beautiful, the sun
sun
is
is
shining.
shining.
People tend to take life for granted.
Mm.
Only when the storm comes, Hurricane Katrina, do people start realizing, hey, I need to get the supplies that I need to survive. I need to move to an area that I can be safe from the storm. I need to do whatever I need to do to stay in a situation where I'm able to be progressive and that I'm able to be mobilized.
So
We don't
to
we
that
don't
point,
want to be mobile. Hmm?
to that point, without contrast, you never appreciate. because I always tell people this now because I understand the contrast. If there
Yeah,
isn't bad, I don't never understand good.
that's right.
And that's to your point when you said that's the reason why I got you to repeat it.
Yeah,
When the grass is green, sun shining, trees everywhere, we don't realize how appreciative we should be.
yeah,
What God sometimes got to do is shake your whole entire world up.
right.
Make the storm, make the storm come out so you'll say, I had it good.
That's right.
And make you start to really realize. So your life just got shook up. You said confusion, look, everywhere.
That's right.
And you started realizing that I'm assuming that your life wasn't as bad as you may have felt it was, or the emotions tricked you at the time. Now you sitting in gladiator school. Talk to me. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, and now I'm in the midst of people who really had a bad situation. Some
Mm.
of which were homeless, some of which didn't even have a mom and a father. You know, some of them were trying to figure out how they were going to eat on the street. So yeah, it's a totally different reality. A lot of those kids were abused sexually, mentally, emotionally. You know, I really didn't go through that. I saw my mom get abused, jumped on, belittled a lot. But at the end of the day, she still was able to maintain a sense of love in that household. And I ain't see that. You know, I didn't see it. You know, in my mind, I had over exaggerated. I mean, it was bad. You know, I don't want to try to minimize it, but at the end of the day, still, I've seen worse once I got incarcerated. Just listening to some of the stories that brothers had to tell and seeing where some of them came from. You know, so yeah, it made me realize I wasn't as bad off as I had imagined initially, but also it made me start taking my life more serious because now I realize I'm not educated. You know, I need to start reading. I need to start putting myself in a position so that mentally I could be able to comprehend certain things that I need to do to survive at some point as a man. So I began to edify myself. I read a lot. I started off reading I started off reading Donegan's books, but you know, it was just for entertainment purposes. But for me, that was a cool thing because I had never read a book before, not like that. You
Come
know,
on now.
they made us read books in school, but I didn't read those books for real. I did just enough to get by, right? But while I was in there and there was nothing else to do, I learned how to do something to occupy that time and that space. So I read Donegan's books initially, and eventually I began to grow to read other books, John Saul books. And the next thing you know, I was reading books by um, Chancellor Williams, books by what's the brother name that was professor at Georgia State?
Uh,
Um,
I can't think. Shout out to the elder Chancellor Williams too.
yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Shank, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ivan Van Sertima.
Mm.
So you know where I'm going. Those
Mm-hmm.
books that make you become more aware of who you are internally and that your external self is on a minor fracture of who you are as a total being. And when
Mm-hmm.
I realized that, I began to say, hold on, whoa, what I was fighting for was something that was not going to fight for me.
Come on man.
Something just had a limited time on this planet Earth where I would be here. The spirit me, I will
Mm.
be. That won't go nowhere. This physical self, at the end of the day, is going to be put back in the ground. So everything I'm trying to put on it to adorn it is really frivolous as compared to who I am as a total being. When I began to realize that, I said, "Oh, whoa! I was been fighting for the wrong thing this whole time," and that made life just that much more worth living, you know. And despite of my situation, I began to realize I can do more.
So
Before,
tell. Oh, go ahead.
no, go
No,
ahead.
because I was going to ask you after you finish that thought. Tell me some of the things that you start to do more. But
I
I think
began,
that's where you was going anyway.
yeah, I began to fast a lot, and I wanted to seek out God. I know what I had been told, I know as a kid I had been forced to go to school. I mean, to church. I'm sorry, but I didn't do it because I wanted to do it. So I
Mm,
started. I God, I started fasting, and I didn't know whether it was praying, but I would beseech God and asking, show yourself to me, show me what I need to be doing as a person to get closer to you, whatever that may be. And it wasn't the normal or the way of the common people that I was shown. Actually, I started studying about Buddha, the person, not the religion.
mm-hmm,
Realized that Buddha wasn't this big fat man that everybody had told me about. That Buddha was actually a wealthy person whom on his 17th birthday had requested to go out and see the kingdom. He wanted to see the world because he had been trapped in that kingdom for so long. His father was the king. And
mm,
went outside of the walls of the kingdom into the common or the ordinary world, he began to see the people were homeless, poor, destitute, and he had questions. Why? Why is it that I have all these things at my disposal and these people out here suffering?
mm,
And the person that was carrying his carrier was not able to answer those questions. And neither was his father, the king. So he decided he wanted to lead the kingdom. He did not want to be the king. He denounced the throne. And he went out and lived amongst the homeless and asked them questions. Nobody had an answer. So he began to fast and meditate. And he began to realize just what I told you I found out when I began to read, that the self is much bigger than the physical, and that
that promise
things are only temporary. The most important part of you, the thing that is everlasting, is the soul.
you.
And to feed that is to give yourself everlasting life. And it ain't nothing tangible. Nothing tangible. It's all about what you do when you're helping people, exhausting that aspect of self, which helps you to grow more, and what you do when you feed your mental. By connecting those two, you increase your vibration. You become a more vibrant person, and the frequency that you function on is on a high level.
Mm-hmm.
I used to wonder a lot about science and how to attribute certain things to the physical self. And now I'm dealing with polarity, the negative and the positive pole.
Mm-hmm.
And if you connect the energy properly, the pole or the energy will go to the higher level. But when you drain it, it goes to a lower level. And
Mm-hmm.
we have to be very conscious of how we plug in, because we can drain ourselves by plugging in the wrong receptacle.
Come on now.
We can grow ourselves by plugging into the right receptacle. And even at that, there had to be a time that we take a to just mean take time to regenerate yourself. Even sleep does that, so we need the proper rest. But sometimes it's just good to be quiet,
Mm.
meditate, get in tune, focus. You know, when I begin to do things, I begin to grow more, and that's not to say that problems left. It just helped me cope better with those problems, to understand that's just temporary. As King Solomon said, had inscribed on his ring, "This too shall pass."
Mm.
When I began to realize that, man, life became a little better, a lot
Okay.
better.
So you're sitting in there enlightened, getting enlightened, because that's what I would take this to be. To me, reading, I didn't read stuff. I could read before I went to prison. I
Mhm,
had never read a book till I went to prison. Not
mhm.
that I could ever remember. And like you said, I read books in school, not all the way through, but lesson books, not a physical book. So for me, starting sitting in prison, I started reading and I got enlightened as well. And I thank you for a Buddha lesson because I technically didn't know that about Buddha.
Yeah,
And you're in there, 2 life sentences. You're getting enlightened. And tell me some of the things that you started doing in the community after such. Because this
yeah,
this also goes hand in hand with the stuff that you're learning and what you're doing, because this reading this stuff makes you probably not want to fight as much, not want to harm people. Now start wanting to help people. How did that play out for you?
Yeah, I ended up having sessions on the back porch on the dorm that just a bunch of guys sitting on the back porch talking about life. And in the midst of me willing to share my story, other guys began to share their story. And they wanted to do this every week. So we started putting together little funds to have something to snack on, while out there. And it grew to me being approached by the Muslims, wanting to know why I wasn't Muslim. I began to study Islam. I began to learn about the Prophet Muhammad. A year into that, I was imam
Mhm.
of, of that particular institution, and that continued on until my release. Not only that, when I was at Hayes State Prison, Commissioner Donald came and he began to tell us about the Faith and Character Based Initiative. A couple of the brothers wanted to go there just to be able to commune, to have fellowship. It didn't really turn out that way because many of us didn't make it into the program. But I went in for one purpose and ended up being the lead peer counselor.
Mm.
After my graduation, I was sent to other institutions. This lasted for a duration of 15 years, where I was sent from prison to prison to establish the Faith and Character-based program, to build and develop the peer counselors, to educate the staff, and it became more than what I could have ever imagined. To the point where they start bringing kids in from the street for me to be able to mentor too. I ended up writing and publishing 3 books, which are on Amazon. Yeah, yeah. So it became a thing where I didn't have time to be in grief about my condition. I wanted to change the condition to better suit the people that were stuck in it at the moment. And a lot of which who are also home.
Mm.
Yeah,
So you're in there and you're doing the work.
yeah,
God has put you in a position where people have got to watch your character and how you decided to walk. That would be the reason why the Muslims would pull up on you and say, "Hold up, brother, you already walking in a certain light. Partake, basically,
yep,
or see what we got to offer." You become an imam, and from there, God start elevating you to help change the mindset of other people while sitting in hell. I like to
yep,
say again, the only reason why I'm using hell on earth can also shape you to become who you're supposed to be. It can mold you, or I've been using pearls here lately. A piece of sand goes into a clam's mouth, and it irritates the clam, where the clam spits over top of this piece of sand. And what happens is when something is discovered, it's a pearl. What this situation did for you, the system thought it was spitting on you, but it was making you beautiful. You became the person that you are today, or the person that you were then, because even today you are even way sharper and way smarter than what you was even then. This is how God works. Every day we get better. Supposed to
yep.
anyway.
That's
And
right.
at what time did you, I guess, when did your time change? Or how does that work with 2 life sentences in Georgia? Is life
Well,
life, or is life cut down, or you get to go for a parole, or how does that work?
yeah, and I appreciate that question because you know what? I don't really think about it a lot. I've been out here so busy that I don't even reflect on how that started. But to be honest with you, I was at Hayes State Prison. I'm in there as a peer counselor. The Georgia Department of Pardons and Parole came down to Hayes. They wanted the warden and the deputy warden of Cantry to give them names of people who would be suitable for parole. And my name was thrown out there. They told me to get, and they just called me out the blue. At that time, I didn't even have faith that I was going home, to be honest. My faith was only in becoming a better person. So when I meet my maker, I will have a just result. Because I know I had did some wrong. So I just wanted to make that right. But they put that hope of being able to see my family again on this side. And they told me to put together parole packages. And now, show you how God operates. He put that in place, I want to say around 2005, 2005, 2006, say 2005. The result didn't happen until 2019.
Mm.
So that hope had been put in me. But when I came up for parole that second time, I'm thinking I'm going home. I had already been set off 8 years. Let me say that. When I came for parole the first time, they set me off 8 years. That was expected, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second time I came for parole, that hope had been put in me that I was going home. They set me off 8 more years. Brother, that almost knocked me off my feet. I have a good friend of mine named Rashad. His real name is Shenandoah Sims. He and I were in the dorm. Matter of fact, he was in my faith-based program. I got that set-off letter. I'm in the phone room trying to figure out how I'm gonna call my mom and tell her that I wasn't coming home. I couldn't do it. So I got the brother on the phone. I said, bro, could you tell my mom what's going on? I couldn't do it. And after he got off the phone with her, she said her piece to me. I went back to my bunk, man. And I promise you, I was bedridden for almost 5 days. I got completely sick. I got so sick I couldn't even walk. I don't know whether that was depression, whether a flu hit me at the same. I don't know, but I was immobile for almost a week. But I laid in that bed sick, and I had to think to myself. I said, like, what are you gonna do? And I had to make a decision. Part of me wanted to give up on everything, leave the program, walk out, just go back to a normal dormitory and just kind of just exist. And another part of me said, why would you do that?
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, you didn't start doing this to go home. You started doing this because this is who you are. So I persevered. When I got healthy enough or well enough to get up off that bunk, I went harder. I got transferred. I had a lot of negative stuff coming at me here and there. Even the warden got jealous of me, a deputy warden over caring treatment, because central office wanted me to go around. He wanted to hold me there to suit his agenda and
Because
try
you
to.
because you're in there, you're helping people, and he
Yeah.
gets the benefits of it.
Yes. Yep. So they tried to send me to Phillips. He stopped the transfer. I made a quail about it. He tried to slander my name. It didn't work. I ended up at Macon State Prison, ultimately at Phillips, continually doing the work. I just kept getting sent to different places. Finally, they asked me to go to Walker State Prison. Now, this whole prison faith base, I had helped develop it. Got honored by the commissioner as a VIP. It was a lot, a lot of blessings, but that wasn't my goal. Was home. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate
Now,
it.
anyway, because
Yeah, yeah,
the idea that been planted. Look, if in the
yeah,
beginning, home
yeah,
wasn't the thought, but once
yeah.
God allowed the seed to be planted, the only thing that can pop into your mind is, man, am I ever going?
You know why?
Talk to me.
Because I had changed my entire way of thinking now. Where once
Mm.
I didn't have faith of home. That
Now
I
you
had been robbed of that hope.
now
But
you
once that
moving
hope was reignited,
now you moving towards
yes,
the your thinking is, I'm preparing myself for home.
yes. Because
Mm.
now I got a burning desire for it.
Come on now.
That burning desire for that reality was not there. That fire had been put out. But when it was ignited, now that it's a burning desire in my stomach, nothing was gonna stop me.
From getting
Nothing,
home.
nothing, nothing.
That's how
So I
God.
I kept going hard. And I was training people. At that point, I didn't know when it was gonna happen. I just knew I wasn't gonna stop until it did.
Is gonna happen.
Yes. And so I left Walker, ended up at back at Baldwin, and the first warden was the first warden that I was at with with at Phillips. She ended up getting transferred. They brought another warden in named Cedric Taylor. this brother saw my work. Um, Two officers had got killed during the transfer. Two white guys took their guns, shot them. So now they have an issue with community in corrections because now these guys on the loose with guns. They had to do some kind of public relations. They sent me into high schools to talk to the kids as a part of their public relations to show that not all people that are incarcerated have an unreformed mind.
Hold on. So
And
they did this. You still in prison,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
going to the high school.
yeah, yeah.
This is the first story I ever heard of done. Anybody that happening with anyone. Go ahead, finish.
Especially with 2 life sentences. That was unheard of. Yeah, it was unheard of. So I got on that stage. I was a little nervous. I had spoken to kids because they used to bring them in to talk to me. But now we're talking about kids in the free society
Come
with
on.
all the distractions. So I didn't really know how I was going to come. I prayed about it. I told God to lead my tongue. And I got up there and told my story. And I just expressed to them that a lot of my mishaps came because I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't know who to turn to when things got hard. And I told them that life is a hard struggle. It is designed to be as such. And it
Mm-hmm.
is so because it strengthens you. It's
It's
not meant to be easy.
it's molding you.
Yes, yes. It's not meant to be easy. And, I told them about all the things that I had been through. And I began to talk about, peer pressures, trying to be impressionable and also trying to impress other people, because a lot of us try to be impressionable. We
Mm-hmm.
want somebody to influence us. We leave ourselves vulnerable for that. And so is because we want to impress other people.
Mm-hmm.
But but putting ourselves in jeopardy in the same light. Because when you leave yourself vulnerable like that, you don't know what you're gonna get, you know, and especially as a kid, not knowing that most people are selfish. They're not thinking about your best interest, they're thinking about their own. And I use it in light of two, young men and women trying to be in a relationship and how that's a battle for control. I just went there. And brother, the whole auditorium got in a line and came to shake my hand. I had kids in there buying my books. It was a trip. It blew my mind. Um, what it also showed me is that despite of the fact that we want immediate results, if we just persevere,
Gotta be patient.
the reward that would come to with that would be more than you could even imagine in your mind. You
Speak.
know, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I like to say, and I this might, well, it ain't crazy to you, but even though the first hit that you got, the second hit, had you not been there, how many of those kids you think would have never heard, or you would have never been in place after two white guys had did what they done, but you wouldn't have never been. I'm gonna say you're probably the first and only person I know that right as of right now that I've ever heard that they took 2 life sentences and sent them to a high school. You
Yep.
probably ain't never heard of nobody else that have done it,
Nah.
and they utilize you because of who God has created you to be,
Yep.
the walk that you have chosen to walk and learn and how to move. And what God did was use you. Now we're gonna move forward. Just another shift. When they did finally come across and say that you was going home, I don't know how to, was that on the second after the second time?
Nah, it was the third. No, hold
So
on.
they,
I'm sorry. No, one, two. So I got set off seven rather. I got set off eight after the first seven. I got set off eight more. Then they set me off five. So yeah, on that fourth attempt, I went home.
so what did they say the second time off the five? I got to ask the question.
What did they tell me?
Yeah, because I look, this ain't even adding up with the work you're doing.
Yeah, so they still basically said that I was still a threat to society because of the nature of my crime. Yeah,
And they done sent you off into a high school to
yeah,
talk to kids,
yep,
and you still a threat to society.
yep,
Okay, but this is also God too. We look
yep,
at man and think that man doing something, and
yep,
not realizing that it's not always man.
yep.
It's
Well,
God wondering, can you wait well?
are you still? Are you really ready for real? Or are you just putting up a front?
The tree can't be mature. I mean, can't produce fruit until it matures.
Hmm.
So you're being tested. You get another 5. What's running through your mind at this time? Because I know the second time, what's running through your mind?
I'm a little stronger at this point, but still, I'm tired. At that spot, I was tired. Like I'm tired. So what I did more than ever at this point was put other people in a position to do the work because I was tired. I'm still doing the work, but I don't want to be as strong as I was just carrying everything. It's time to put other people in position to assist me in this, and I did. Um, and that next time I came up, they let me go.
I guess you had to the first 2 times you were working on it, you was pretty much doing it yourself. The third time, what had to make sure that was done, that what you had created and what you was doing, if you never taught nobody else to do it, it would die or it would end with you.
Yeah,
So by you setting it up where it can continue to create, what happens is in your absence, this still moves forward.
yeah.
So they tell you that you received it. What was the psychological process that's going through your mind when you know your freedom is there? And was your mother still alive at the time?
Oh yeah, she's still alive now.
Thank God. So
Yeah.
what was running through your mind when you finally get this and you like, man, I'm about to come home? What was you at psychologically
I didn't let my guard down. Although I knew I was leaving, it was on my birthday too. One of the
when you
best
left?
birthdays.
When you left, or when you
Yeah.
found out?
Nah, I went to the transitional center on my birthday.
Hell of a birthday present.
Yeah, one of the best in my life. Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
God can give you
Yeah.
freedom on your birthday.
Yeah.
Look,
Weird. It was weird. But I mean, I've been told I'm about to go home. I even knew up to the day that they told me because I worked in the warden's office. I was an orderly up there. So I was told by the deputy warden of care and treatment, who's still to this day a good friend of mine, that you finna go home tonight. I said, huh? Like, yeah, you leave tonight. I still didn't believe it. I got on the bus, went to Phillips TC. Even at the TC, I still didn't believe it. I'm going, they let me out to go to work, and I'm like, oh man, this for real. you know, I still didn't believe it. I still didn't believe it, man. And I I I I don't know, man. I think I was kind of stuck in the twilight zone of belief and disbelief. And even after I was released, that first 2 years, I think I was just kind of running on fumes. I still didn't believe it. And I say that I really just didn't, I was still stuck in the moment. I had to catch back up to the reality of what I was experiencing. And once I caught back up, I began to go hard on this side. I went because I think I was still stuck in prison for the first 2 years being free. I wasn't mentally home yet. I hadn't caught up. Even in the maturity of the moves I need to make to sustain a life as a free person, I wasn't making those moves. I was blowing money. You know what I'm saying? I kind of even forgot about the spiritual battle.
mm,
I'm just being honest.
no, no, I need that. I need
Yeah,
that.
I kind of had forgot about all that stuff, man. I was just out here just like a kid in a candy store, just doing whatever, you know. And I wasn't, getting in no trouble, picking up no guns and nothing like that, trying to
No,
rob.
might have been chasing a few women. Look,
What?
drinking a little bit. Look, hey,
What?
Shit happened.
Strip
Look, I did the
club.
same thing and
Yes,
still
sir.
stays. I did still stay spiritual because
Yeah.
I understood something, but started drinking. Once I got off probation, started smoking weed, chasing women.
Yeah.
Um, you, we can tell people that come home what not to do. Don't chase women. Keep your disciplines.
Yeah.
Look, work out. Stay working out if this is what you did. Whatever you was working on and the discipline that you got before you came home, keep those same disciplines.
Yeah.
But finish going. You say
Yeah.
you lost yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was stuck in the middle. Like, you know how you making a transition, you just kind of stuck in the middle of the gray, and the white and the black on these two sides, but you in the gray, you just stuck in the gray. And I was stuck right there, bro. I was trying to, I don't know, man. It's like I was just there. I was still being productive. Like I had a job. I was making money. I was bringing home $1,500 a week. And I was just buying clothes, just doing stuff. Yeah. I wasn't saving no money. I'm in a strip club every weekend by myself. Yeah, just in there.
Having a ball. Just having a
Man,
ball.
yeah, throwing money and looking at butt, the whole time, like I had never seen a booty before. I mean, I was just out there. And then one day I messed around and spent $3,000 in a strip club. And it hit me because after I had spent all the money, everybody left, went somewhere else to make some more money. It dawned on me. I said, these women, they ain't here to make money. They ain't studying me. They ain't trying to no friend, none of that. This is about the money. And I'm
Man, money
and
gone.
that was my last time. It was over with. I stopped. So
Okay.
yeah, once that reality hit me, and I caught up with the fact that, hey, you home and you in your 40s. Now it's time years. You don't have a whole lot of life left to be trying to substantiate your existence out here. Get busy. So I started building my career in HVAC. The ultimate led to me being a journeyman in the union right now. Yeah. And you know, the other part of it, it'll take another interview to tell you about me coming back and being grounded in a spiritual way. But I'll say this in short. I was laying in the bed with my fiance, and man, my voice, said to me, you know why things are not going the way that you would like it to go?
Mhm.
Because you turned away from who you were. Go
Good God.
back to yeah. And that next day that I woke up, I was back on it. I was back on it, brother. I formed my 501c3, created an organization, started doing work in the community, started going back in, talking. Yeah, yeah, I got on it and I'm still on it. And I ain't gonna stop. Not gonna stop.
So tell me a little bit about the things that you do now. What React Corporation actually do? Tell me
Yeah.
about just I want you to share the things so then the people know they get to
Okay.
not just know who you are, but things. This is the reason why it's called forward progress because people need to know that we do come home and we make change. It's more people to me, it's more people that come home and change their lives and do well than it is than don't do well and go back
Yeah.
to prison. But what
Yes.
we think in our minds is that people go back to prison because of what people show in the media. I've met
Yes.
so many people on my journey that do well but are going into hiding because they don't want people to know that they've been locked up because they're trying to figure out life or whatever the case may be. So these stories are never told. The power that they have is never held, and we're allowing other people to tell our story, not us telling. No, we come home become um, people who own their own businesses, people who jump back in the community and try to and work on helping change the community, and we
Yes.
give the voice to some to the media and everybody who share the negative stories. but we never tell our own. So share that stuff that you're doing and how you changing the community.
Yeah, so we do back to school giveaways for because we are aware that a lot of parents struggle with paying bills. This economy is outrageous all over the world. So
Mm-hmm.
now they have the means to be able to get kids what they need to be comfortable in school. School supplies, clothing, things of that nature. So we get involved with the back to school giveaways. On November 9th, we're about to conduct an event that's called Increase the Peace, Stop the Violence, where we'll have a couple of guys performing, a couple of speakers, and ultimately our objective is to get them to understand that their purpose is much greater than what they are trying to chase as a thrill.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what it boils down to. They're thrill seeking and they're killing each other trying to seek that thrill, to live up to a standard or something somebody rapped on a song or a role somebody played in a movie
And to be in prison for the rest of their life,
or either
look,
dead.
or dead, and their mama crying
Yep.
because they ain't here. No, they no longer here. Sometimes I think we need to talk to the parents too,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they don't know. They don't know. They don't pay attention to what, or to the point that you made earlier. While the grass is green, the sun is out. You don't realize what you have until it's gone.
Hmm.
These parents will mess around and wake up one morning and their kid is gone.
Yep.
And they didn't realize that they could have messed around and spoke to him, put
Yep.
him in front of some other people, did a few other things that would have changed their life. But because they, I guess you think, hey, they're going to live forever, you allow them to do what they want to do, they're going to make it. You don't realize that, look, life ain't given to everybody. It's a choice what you make. You can make the choice, but you can't make the consequence.
That's right. That's right, bro.
So
And yeah.
finish sharing the rest of the stuff you do. I ain't mean to go
No,
on.
no, no, you good. You good. Once a month we do a mental health roundtable. It's a panel of guys and we come together and we host, an event once a month to invite out the community to speak about the mental conditions of our community. The people out here suffering, they're scared to talk about it. They think people are going to talk down to them or tell somebody their business and exploit them like they're crazy, you know? But not realizing that everybody goes through mental challenges and they just need somebody to talk to. Not nobody to tell them what to do, but just somebody to talk to hear themselves so they know what they need to do next, right? I'm also a certified peer specialist for addictive diseases. I went through what's known as the CARES Academy and got certified. And I'm
Okay.
also a life coach. So as I told you earlier, I don't want to limit how I'm available to be of service because at the end of the day, that's what we are. We're servants.
I promise.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Derek, I just want first and foremost, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you.
This may sound crazy, but I do thank God that you actually went through what you went through to become who you are today. A lot of people may say, I'm sorry you had to go through it. I ain't. I needed you to go through it in order to help. Or according to the Bible, it says, I think it was, I forgot exactly who. Oh, it was Joshua. He said, what the devil meant for bad, God meant for good, that it may save many.
Yeah,
And what's your testimony? That them kids that came, bought your book, lined up, shook your hand, these people that you are servicing now have been servicing. I'm gonna skip 2 years, but for the last 3 years, because you said first 2 years you was in gray.
hmm,
You have now become back to who you were when you was in prison, but you learned how to serve the community sitting there.
yeah,
This wasn't in vain. And I thank God that He chose you to do the work that you do, because this is the work that really needs to be done, and everybody can't do it because, unfortunately, many are called, but few are chosen. and you are a
That's right.
chosen one. You're one that was meant to go through to get to people, and you're using what you knew and what you done then to get back on track. So I thank you for your service. I thank you for who you are. If you could leave me a word of wisdom.
Yeah. So life is an obstacle course that we navigate from the time that we were brought into this earth until the time that we go back into the earth. And in the process of navigating, we begin to learn different strategies to maneuver to make it less stressful. See life as a tool that is used to work your mental, your spiritual, and your physical and grow every single day. Don't run from struggle, embrace it because it can only make you better. The weakest of us are those that look for ease, and the strongest of us are those who run towards the struggle knowing with a certainty that they can overcome. Always allow your burning desire for your dreams and aspirations to propel you to be stronger each and every day, obtaining those goals and continuing to strive towards other goals until you can't strive no more. That means the day that you have exhausted your time on this earth, continue to grow.
I thank you for joining me. My name is Carlos Walker. This is Mr. Derek Warner, and this is Forward Progress. Thank y'all.